Hi, everyone. I want to begin by a quick show of hands. So how many of you have been to Beijing? A lot. How many of you have been to New Delhi? How many to San Francisco? How many to all three cities? Well, if you have, you can probably resonate with and visualize some of the things that I will mention in my talk today. Yes, as you probably have guessed, my talk today stems from my experiences living in those three cities. So I was born and I grew up in Beijing, China. This is a place where I grew up, and this is a picture that was taken outside my community. Yes, this is a very modern place with wide, well-built road, well-planned community, and skyscrapers. Every element that you can probably find in a modern city. And at the age of 14, I moved to India. And when I just got to New Delhi, I was really surprised by one thing. So comparing to the roads back in Beijing, any sort of animals on the roads were complete abnormality. You can probably imagine how baffled or even confused when I first saw cows walking so freely and so casually among cars, driving past them so fast. And cows were not the only animals that found their niche in the city of New Delhi. You can find dogs enjoying themselves in Indian temples. And you can also find monkeys and baby goats in street markets, who are indeed actually one of the most frequent guests in the street markets in the city of New Delhi. And as you can probably see from the picture on the left, there is a monkey sitting there on the wire, enjoying something that he probably just taken from one of the windows in the street market. And on the right-hand side, there's I'm not really sure if you guys can see it, but there's like a little goat, little baby goat right there, relaxing himself in the street market. And what really surprised me weren't just the animals, but how people in the city of New Delhi treated the animals with peace and respect. And to them, the animals were not just sojourners or alien invasions into the city, but co-residents of the city. And reflecting back, I was surprised to see those animals around me when I just got to New Delhi, exactly because I didn't treat them as natural inhabitants of the space, but some unusual appearances. And indeed, Indian people treat every element and animals in the universe as divinities, a belief known as pantheism. And this unshakable position of animals in the Indian religion helped to explain this relationship built on trust between people living in the city of New Delhi who really respected the presence of animals in the city of New Delhi, as well as the animals who started to find their niche in the city. Of course, there are different problems associated with the air pollution and the chaotic street design in New Delhi, but it truly is a city that puzzled me and made me recontemplate this relationship between people and animals in the built environment. And indeed, New Delhi weren't the only one. Last summer, I went to get an internship in the city of San Francisco and got a chance to live there for 2 months. And my experience there made me reimagine this relationship in another dimension again. So I remember on my very first day of my internship, my colleague took me to one of the rooftops in the area. It was a rooftop located on the top of a mall in Union Square. I was really surprised, and I can't stop appreciating for having such a cute little secret garden right located in the center of a workplace neighborhood that really offers the professionals a place to relax and to unwind from the stresses accumulated during the day and just simply have a relaxing conversation with each other. And in the days following that, I also found a secret little garden located in the most unexpected places. It's located right around the corner of a busy street. And besides the rooftop garden and those secret street parks, I also got a chance to visit the Presidio and the Golden Gate Park in the city of San Francisco. So those parks it's really magical to find those patches and those vast spaces with green, trees, and flowers that's located right in the middle of the city. For one moment, you thought you were driving on the street, on the busy street with cars driving fast. And for the next moment, you will find yourself driving in those oaks, pines, and redwoods that are native to the land. And indeed, those patches of green and those spaces are so vast that these themselves are actually independent ecosystems that are home to many animals in the city of San Francisco. For example, buffaloes. And to me, the Presidio, the Golden Gate Park, and also those little street gardens were not just patches of green that allow nature to thrive and prosper in the middle of the city. They're actual places that allow animals to find their niche and for nature to really find their place in the built environment. And to me, my experiences living in Beijing, New Delhi, and San Francisco have constantly tracked this changing understanding between the city residents and animals. Growing up in Beijing and later traveling to cities like New Delhi and New York, I always found that there is sometimes a distinct demarcation between the built environment and the people, as well as the built environment and nature. I found that people's lives are more like a fast-rolling conveyor belt that's really trapped in this giant operating machine called the city. And sometimes it's evident from the complexions of some pedestrian walking on the street that they're not happy. Perhaps they're stressed, they're feeling really stressed from sitting in front of their desk in the office building for the entire day. And as designers and creators of the space that we live in, we really have this choice of trapping ourselves in the bricks and concrete that's isolated from nature, or to create a space that's more open, welcome, and embracing of nature. And indeed, many architects and city designers have been working on the forefront of creating a space that allows nature to prosper in the city, a concept that's known as biophilic design. Biophilia, as the name probably suggests, means the love of living things. And it's a concept first developed by American biologist Edward Wilson in the year of 1984. And biophilic design translates human beings' innate desire to connect with natural things into the design of our building and the built environment. For example, Italian architect Luciano Pia once designed a building called the 25 Verdi in the city of Turin in Italy that incorporated more than 150 plants in a residential apartment. So just imagine yourself living in that apartment, and one morning you wake up and you see rays of sunlight shining through those trees. Those are actual trees located growing outside your room, not those office plants. Those are actual trees growing outside your room. And those rays of sunlight shining through the trees and entering into your room. Wow, that feeling must be very great. And besides Italy, places like Hong Kong, Japan, and Spain have all been striving to experiment with and to incorporate the presence of nature into our built environment. And indeed, while we're giving nature a place to prosper and thrive in our built environment, we're actually vividly reshaping our own experiences in the city. Researchers have shown that biophilic design actually helps people cope better with problems like anxiety, stress, and depression. And a recent conceptual model developed by researchers from University of Washington and Stanford University have shown various psychological causal mechanisms, include the increase in physical activities, the reduction of stress level, and is the increase of social cohesion, just to name a few of those positive impacts of the inclusion of natural environment into our built environment. And while we consider the place of animals, plants, and other natural elements in our built environment, we actually reconnect us, the human beings, back to the place where we all belong to. And I want to invite you all to reimagine the place of nature in our built environment. As designers of our space, we have the choice and responsibility to reconnect nature back to the place where we really belong to, and also to consider and give the presence of nature in our built environment. And as city residents, we really need to take this responsibility to respect and accept the presence of animals and other natural elements in the city, just like what the people in New Delhi have done. I know that it's not possible with the increasing rate of urbanization to find a piece of land that's completely pristine in the days right now. However, we really have the choice to create a space that allows both us and nature to prosper. Thank you for listening.